All right, my friends, it looks like we are live. Welcome aboard. It's yours truly, Rockin' Dave, the real deal, North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida. It's been a while for that one, huh? Okay, so as the description says, I can't. I'm having a hard time posting up photos and things of that nature, so I don't know what's going on with YouTube. And I know it's been a while since I've been live, although it's been, let's see, we've been doing gigs here and there, not a whole lot. Our next big one is, I guess, September 6th, I think it is. Uh, well, it's a 3 hour gig. And but it does feel good to have a little bit of time off. I will admit that. And we've been also posting on Instagram as well. Now, before I end of the live stream, I'll give you all the information on that, my friends. It's good to be back. It's hard to see if there's any comments. Wait a minute, is that John? What's happening, brother? Now I cannot see. Thank you so much, John. I hope all is well with you, brother. Your comment's like way on the very bottom of the screen, right where it looks like it cuts off, and on your phone when you go into the settings and all that. So, yeah, I'm gonna try to respond, look back and forth between the screen on the phone and what I'm doing here. Anyways, like the description in details, I wanted to do a comparison on the Boss COSM effects versus the Boss A.I.R.D effect. Now, let's see if I can do this where the light's not shining too much here. If I turn this off, I don't know what that's going to do. I won't be able to see it. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's good. Anyways, so, and I figure I'll do it on two of Boss's most budget-friendly effect units that have these technologies. One is, I believe, is their latest and last effect unit where they added the COSM, which is the Boss GT1, and then the newest budget-friendly effect unit, which is the Boss ME. That has the A.I.R.D. It's the Boss ME90. Although the Boss ME90, I believe, is like $350, something like that, 360. The Boss GT1 is like 199. It might be like 210 right now. But anyways, they're the two closest to each other in price range, and the GT1 being one of the last versions of the COSM, and the ME90, the first budget friendly A.I.R.D. because they started that technology with the GT1000, and then on other GT like 1000 core and all that, and then their next step was the GX100, but that pedal cost like $600, 550. And then they came out with the ME90, and then recently they came out with the GX10, which is about $30 cheaper than the ME90. But anyways, so what we're gonna do here is give a little comparison. I'm gonna see if I can see the comments before I start doing this little demo. Home back to Chicago on Friday. Oh man, yeah, kind of excited. Good for you. Yeah, going home. Yeah, Deb was staying, man. Yeah, that's good to be. God, we haven't been back up in Chicago since we left. We've been to Colorado recently, just last month. But we haven't been back to Chicago, and it's been 8 years we've been down here. But yeah, it's going to be nice to see everybody back up there. You know, John. Anyways, here we go. And what I'm going to do is first play a little bit with the set. And now here's another thing I'm going to do. I'm not going to go through all the different effects, modulations, and all that. I'm going to keep it as basic as possible with overdrive, and a little bit of delay. And the sims I'm using, one is the Marshall. It's similar to like the JCM 800. And the same thing with the setting I have here in the ME90, but I think it's their X. Yeah, it's their X something on there. I can't see because it's a little bit dark. But it's one of the X settings, the British X settings. Maybe if I turn the light on, I can see. I don't want to do too much yakking. Yeah, like the X game. So it's real similar to like a zooped up Marshall. And I'm going to also use my CLT or CTL control setting to turn on and off the overdrives because the amp settings are basically overdriven. So without any further ado, here we go. Oh, and by the way, I'm using the Paul Reed Smith SC McCarty's guitar with just their stock, custom 58 pickups. So they're not super hot pickups. So now I turned off the overdrive on the GT1, and it's now just the overdriven amp. Okay, so now we are going to plug into the ME90. Oh. Okay. I'm having a little bit of problem with that pedal. Okay, so that's the ME90. There are certain settings in here that seem a little bit more brighter, even though I actually have the high or the treble and presence turned down a little bit compared to the GT1. So I think it's part of their A.I.R.D technology. It just seems a little bit brighter, and when you shut off the overdrive, you could. It's almost more amp-like, but what makes the GT1, I don't know, sometimes I think the GT1 has more of an amp, a true amp sound. Let's try it again. Boot up, man. And I do have to turn this volume up a little bit. I'm going to turn down the volume on the guitar to see how well it cleans up. Yeah, it does it real good. Now let's try the ME90. Again, I got them as close as I possibly could get them because what they did with the ME90 is they did change some of their amps. They got as close to their Marshall. They're not really. I guess Boss it has a hard time trying to get the Marshall sound. At least with the ME series and the new technology, or at least maybe it's just this one. I don't know. But the GT1 seems to have it a little bit better. But let's go ahead. Actually, yeah, it's definitely a lot louder. This pedal is definitely louder because I'm running them both into the Roland BA330, which is a powered small portable powered PA, and both it only has this level, master level. It's got 4 channels with levels, master level, reverb, but I have the reverb off, and the EQ setting is just high and low, and they're both basically around 1 o'clock. So you're really getting a the sound basically from the Boss pedals. Now I'm gonna go ahead. Maybe I gotta turn that down even more, man. Wow, it's loud. Okay, so there's my volume rolled up all the way. I would have rolled down the volume. Yeah, they're almost the same as far as it's push, if that makes any sense. Let me see who's on the chart in the chat here, guys. Sorry about that. I'm having I got a little bit tied up here. Lane, what's happening, man? Can you play the? Oh, I have to go over that. Yeah, Lane, I would have to learn that. Yeah, I basically, I'll do a lot of originals, and the covers I'll pick because I do like them. Um, but yeah, I mean that's something I'm glad you mentioned. It's something I definitely could go over. I'm not really, and I'm not knocking covers. I'm not really a big cover guy. It's not that I can't learn them. It's just that they've gotten just so worn out. And what I've seen happen is the music scene is starting to get so stale. But, back when we were back in the '80s, everything's different from the '80s, as a lot of you know. But our music scene it seemed to be so much stronger. Now this is back up in Chicago. I'm down here in Florida, but I'm assuming they had the same thing down here. But it just seemed that people they didn't care if you played a cover or not. They wanted to hear you. They wanted to hear you play. And this is what the saying was back then. If you were playing a bunch of covers, it meant you can't write your own music. And I'm telling you guys, I remember when the clubs were packed. And this is back, the metal scene, of course, and it was packed. And, maybe we did 1 or 2 covers, but most of it was all originals. And people would come out to see the bands because they wanted to see the bands. They didn't care about the covers. Now it's like the covers have been, I think they have been superimposed on people so long. And I'm not knocking the covers, don't get me wrong. But when you have too much of one thing, there's a huge imbalance. And when everyone's doing basically the same cover songs, oh man, it's like, that's why I don't really like joining cover bands. I respect them, don't get me wrong. It's just not my cup of tea, man. It's my guys, it's just not my cup of tea. And that's why we don't really go out and watch cover bands. Not that we don't want to support the scene. I really want to hear what these people could do, and a lot of these people, they're really good musicians. When I would sit over at the music store with them and jam with them, I'm like, why aren't you playing this? You know, and they're like, oh, well, people, I want to play with the people on here. Well, how do you know what the people want to hear? Well, the covers, they follow a narrative, which is fine, but I think they're following too much. And I have heard people say they're tired of hearing the same songs being played. Now, if I'm playing the same songs, like because it's my own music. You know, if you go see Iron Maiden or you go see Slipknot or whatever, of course you're going to hear their music. And if you follow them around, that's all you're going to hear, you know? But that's because it's their music. But it's when you have all these cover bands and next cover bands playing the same songs. This is how bad it's gotten. One of the waitresses had said, all it's turned out to be now is the same songs being played by different people. And that's right. When her shift is over, she said, and she has a chance to go home, she never stays to watch the rest of the bands. She doesn't, because she's tired. She burnt out on it, and that's what's happening. So, and I'm not again, the people doing it. I'm not knocking them. You do it because you want to do it, because you love to do it. But if you don't like doing it, then don't do it. You know. Anyways, so I think what we got going on here, if I were to compare these two, I'm kind of really liking the GT1 a little bit more than the ME90. I'm going to be honest. I love the layout of the ME90. I absolutely love it. You could do tails. Watch this. I'm going to switch to foot switch number 2 and let that. I'm going to hit the chord. Wait a minute. See? It's still tailing. That's what I like about it. Now, I think you can get into the settings in the GT1 and do that. I just been a little bit lazy about it. I haven't done that because I basically set the settings up that I like it, and I just go for it. Okay, so now we go back to the GT1. The reason why I'm doing this is because if anyone out there has kept their little GT1s, keep them. Don't get rid of them. I think I saw a video a little while back. A guy was saying if these things are still relevant because the GT1 came out, I think, in 2014. And I think that might have been the last of its effect unit processor with the COSM, and that's they were focusing on the GT1000 and all, and that the new A.I.R.D technology. What I like about the GT1 that you cannot do with the ME90 unless you hook it up to the computer, and I think you download the Tone Central. Some of the effects you can rearrange in order, but you have to do the Tone Central. Hook it up to the computer and download all that. But you can't physically do it on unit. The GT1 you could get in there and you could rearrange all your modulating effects until you could put them in any order in the chain. I'll give you an example. The next patch I got here is the same amp setting with the flanger. And what I did was I took the flanger and the chain effect and I put it before the distortion and the amp, as opposed to after. And then on this patch, it's again the Marshall setting with the tube screamer. And that's basically what that is on the ME90. Marshall setting with a tube screamer. The next patch I have basically on the GT1. Now I'm just going to focus on the GT1. Is the same Marshall setting with a tube screamer, except this patch I have the Univibe. And then even the control, I have it set to turn off my overdrive. Another thing I like about both of these units is I don't have these type of a metal switch. I've been very fortunate and lucky with this, with the drop pedal, the Digitech drop. I have not had any dirt or sand get stuck in here, but my old loop pedals, my Digitech Jamman stereos, dust and sand got in there, and man, oh, it just destroys everything in there. So, but what I like the switching on the ME90 and the switching on the GT1, they're nice. I never had any issues. I'd say the only issue I had with this pedal, and it could have been my cord, when I hooked up an external foot switch to turn on and off extra effects. I think the cord went bad, not the socket. Um, but I've used this pedal, the GT1, solidly for man, about 2 years. All the outdoor gigs, never had any problems with this thing. I mean, it's just great. The only problem I've had with the ME90 is that you heard when I first plugged it in, it got just the volume spiked real loud, and then the wah came on. I've been having issues with that, so I don't know what's going on with it. So that's why I kind of took it off of my pedal board, trying to figure out what's going on with it. Uh, but again, like I said, if you have a GT1, I'd suggest keep it because both of these pedals you can run on four or six AA batteries. I think it's four AA batteries. You get about 11 hours out of it, and which is a great thing to have if you're in a situation where you have no wall socket power or you don't have enough and you need to run it for a while on a battery. It works great. If you don't have a GT1, you're thinking about grabbing, I would suggest grabbing one, even as a backup, because these things, it's a workhorse and it sounds great. And I'm going directly to PA. I have not run it into the amp. Because mostly the gigs I do, I go straight to PA. So I leave it set like that because after a while, when you have so many gigs back to back, you don't have really time to start experimenting with things. The only time I'll do that is if I know I got a gig coming up that I need an amp, and I'll plan it out where I got the time to take whatever unit I'm going to play into that amp and just really spend time with it to get it, as good a sound as I possibly can, with understanding that things could change at the gig. Now I don't know what's going on here, guys, with the let's see. Just scrolling on. See, I haven't been live on YouTube in a while, and I know they were even, where I'm actually messing with the phone when I'm doing my gigs. Deb, she's taking care of everything. But I know YouTube has been changing a lot, and that's why I started looking for other platforms. I'm like, I'm not going through this rigmarole of trying to learn and relearn and relearn and relearn. I just simply don't have the time, and I don't have the interest in it, you know. If I find another platform that's just as good and it makes it life easy, I'm going to go that route too, because I mean, I'm not, I love doing YouTube and I love doing anything with social media. I think it's great, but my whole world does not revolve around it, because I'm out there playing. And that's basically the world I come from. Like a lot of you out there, the actual in-person world. Nothing beats that, man. This is great, though. I will say that this is great. So, I'm not going to stay on too much longer, guys. I wanted to give a really good basic rundown on the COSM versus the A.I.R.D technology. You're going to notice it really in the amp settings. Um, When I go to my clean setting on the GT1, here I'm gonna do this. I have my phase shifter on. When I hit my control here, it turns the phase shifter off. It's hard when I sit down with the guitar. I have to always sit more in the classical. I try to sit the other way. I have no leverage on it. This way I have more leverage. And then if I want to hit my overdrive channel, another thing I want to draw attention to is the difference between these two. I wish they had the foot switch setting set up like they have on the ME90, but put on the GT1, because these are they get a little too close. You have to be careful you don't activate something by accidentally hitting on two pedals at the same time. So I'm a little careful when I'm playing. Here you don't have that issue. Not bad, huh? And again, they're both of them are pretty reachable. I mean, the GT1, like I said, is maybe about $210 or $219. I think what's been happening is the price of them have been going up a little bit because people have been putting on social media how much they've been rediscovering this little pedal, the GT1. So it kind of brought its little bit fame back up. Now both pedals do not come with the power supply, but if you have something like the BX90 or the BCB 90X Boss pedal board, it'll come with a power supply, but they'll both come with batteries. You could put, I think it's 4 AA batteries. And like I said, you get about solid playing, maybe a good 5 hours, where you won't start to notice anything like delays cutting out or anything like that. Certainly, with fresh batteries, you could get through a 3 or 4 hour gig. Just when you take a break, if you do take a break, don't leave it plugged in. If you leave it plugged in, it starts draining the batteries. That's what happens. Just like, back in the day when, you had just your regular pedals that take the 9-volt battery. If you leave them plugged in between sets, by the time the night's over, man, you better have extra batteries with you, because it's not going to last, I gotta admit that this little GT1, the settings in here, man, pretty impressive. like it. So, anyways, my friends, I'm going to get ready to shut down here and in closing here, or in conclusion, like one of my students said to me. Use what you want to use. I'm not trying to, push a product or anything like that. But what I am saying is that don't overlook them, especially something as small as a little GT1. I do have the Zoom GX4 too, and it's a nice pedal. The only thing I notice is when you switch between settings, there is a little bit of delay time of cutoff. Not too much on the GT1, and you really don't get it on the ME90 because when you go to another patch, let's say if you go up to another bank here, let me just demonstrate that to you. It won't do anything until you hit the foot switch. Let me show you. I'm gonna show you. So, all right. So here's my clean channel. I'm gonna go up to another bank. If you could see that these are flashing, but I'm still in my previous bank. Nothing's gonna happen until I step on something. Now see, I called back for user bank number 1. And again, like I said, another thing I like is I call them the trails. Like some people call them tails. The delay trails will continue even when you switch. So see, it's still. So that is, I really like that, man. I like that a lot. And you do have more control because you got more, more foot switches. On the ME90, what you could do when you turn on an effect with the control, you can actually control, I think, up to 3 or even 4. Let me go to another patch here. Okay. So I have I'm pretty sure it's on foot switch number 2. I have we'll find out. Oh, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. It is on foot switch number 1. Okay. When I have foot switch number 1 on user bank number 2, I basically have this set for when I want to do my acoustic. So it's pretty flat where I respond, and I think it's here. So 3 effects came on. You could assign, I think maybe it's up to 4, but I know I have definitely 3. So let me, if you guys could see this, when I hit the switch, yeah, see, 3 of them lit up. The foot switch number 1, which is your compressor, it has additional effects in there. I think I have the octave on this. The modulation I have, I can't remember what that is. And the delay's got something. So now here's another cool thing with the ME90. The switch that is above your number 4 switch, it says memory or manual. I have it in memory right now. But what's cool, if I want to get in and individually turn things off, I just hit the memory switch. Now it's in manual. Let's say I'm going to turn. Okay, I can turn those effects off, and now I'll just have my octave. Now I could turn on this. So it's more like a rotary effect. I'm going to turn that off. Now we'll see what the delay is. This is not, I think it's like the shimmering delay. So you got this little bit of play in the back. So watch, I'll play a chord. Hear that come into the background? So that's pretty cool. So when I combined it with my modulating effect, which I think is my a rotary, this is what you get. And then when I combined it with my octave, this is what I get. And again, it's set to manual mode so I could turn on and off the effects individual. And when I hit the memory switch again, now it goes back to memory, and now it's just like changing patches. Now, see, I went back here, and nothing happened with the special effects. That's why when I created this patch, and created the what effects I wanted to go on and off. When I hit save, it saved to when I hit the switch. Those effects do not come on until I hit control. Then all three of them come on at once, and it'll trail. So that's pretty cool with that. That's actually really cool with that. Okay, now I'm going to show you one of the effects. I said I wasn't going to do the effects, but why not? I'm going to show you some of the special effects that is basically in the GT1 as well. What we're going to do here, it's kind of similar. Let's see, okay. And what's nice with the GT1, they have the Roland JC120 in there. They don't have that in the ME90. You have to hook it up to the computer, go on Boss Tone Central and download it. So I'm not really a big fan of when you gotta download stuff. You know, it's just not me. That's all. Okay. There's another thing that I mean you can move things around in here. You know, copy them to another patch. There we go. Now it's more of the guitar there. Now it's more of the rotary in there. So I have some cool stuff there. Now if I hit, it goes to another switch. It doesn't do the trails. There isn't that. Yeah. Maybe it's not that one. There it is. That turns off the overdrive. When I turn it on now, the overdrive comes on. So you do get a little bit of that in there. But if you have other synthesizers, you know, you don't have to worry about it because, you know, you got the other effects. What you can do, and what I have been doing, is I'll run this through the Zoom. When I'm using the amp sims and the effects from here, I'll have it basically set for clean effect or bypass the amp sims on the Zoom. And I'll have the bonus feature if I want to turn on any extra modulating effects or whatever effect I want. That's really cool. The same thing would go if I wanted to use the GT1 as my primary source of my main tone. Well, what I could do there is, and I'm not going to do it now, but I can run this through an empty patch here and create, let's say this is going into the ME90 and I want to have the added bonus of turning on and off more delays and more flangers or whatever I need. Then I could just basically use this for modulating effects, and I think, or vice versa. In the ME90, there's a thing called the delay oscillator. So if you're messing with it, you can get these certain tones where it will almost sound like a spaceship, especially when you're running it through a distorted or an overdriven source. Then it really does that effect real good. So you can combine those two if if you like. There's something that a lot of people will do if they want extra special effects. And when they don't want those special effects, they want more of as pure sound as they could get running through effect units, then they'll have one of the two will be at like a flat response. And they'll just use it just as a volume boost, maybe with a little bit of EQ. But you have the option of turning on and off the effects there. It will alter a little bit of your tone, but here's my suggestion. If you're going to do something like that, especially with these units, they have like 100 patches. What I would do is if I know I'm going to do something like that, then I would take an empty patch and recreate my tone that I like so far, so that I have, or I could take this patch and copy it onto an empty patch. So this patch is saved when I want to run the unit by itself. And let's say I want to copy this to, let's say, user bank maybe 58. User bank 58 is identical to this user bank. But user bank 58, I'm going to alter it a little bit because I'm going to run it through an effect unit, and whatever tone changes, then I'll get in and reset my tones as close as possible because I'm running it through another effect source, and it's going to alter the tone a little bit. So you can get in there and adjust things to your likeness. And another thing I do like with the, I don't want to jump around too much in subjects, but that's what you could do when you're using two effects together. Now, here's another thing I do like with the GT1. I could see that screen that's lit up. When the sun is baking on it, I could still see my parameters. I could still, they did a pretty good job with the ME90 and that black screen. It's not as bad as the older units, but the older units, as soon as the sun hit that screen, you can't see anything, man. It's like, kind of defeats the purpose, if you know what I mean. So, that is the take on Old Man Dan. What is happening? It's been a while, brother. Hey, I'm going to tell you guys what's been going on just in a moment here. So, I will be planning to do a live stream where I'm going to compare the ME90 to the ME80. And actually, one of these days, I want to take all four units. I have the 50, the ME50, the ME70, the ME80, and the ME90, and I'll do a comparison what they've changed here and there on them. The latest and greatest, I think, is the ME90. It is easier to run into a PA system, and it works. It does work great. Like I said, I think something happened with my volume pedal here, my expression pedal. So that's why I busted out the GT1. The GT1's been doing great. So now let me get back to you guys on what's been going on. So nothing bad, all good, of course. I have not been on YouTube in a while because we started an Instagram channel, and I think we done that in June, a few weeks before we went to Colorado. And it seems so much easier for me to load up videos on my Instagram channel than on YouTube. I had tried to load up a video, I think it was 3 days ago. The video is only like, it's under 4 minutes long, and it was still buffering today, still not loaded up. It was a similar song I was playing. And that video playing that song was maybe a little over 4 minutes. It only took, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes, if that, to get loaded up onto Instagram. So I know maybe YouTube's restructuring and things, and I get it. And there's a lot of people that get on YouTube, and I mean, I still use YouTube, and if I'm doing research on certain art projects, because some of you might know I've gotten back into doing paintings and art and all that. It's been very therapeutic for me. And also the CBS Radio Mystery Theater, we can listen to. That's an old radio show that I used to hear back in the 70s. The CBS Radio Mystery Theater with E.G. Marshall. And some of the news feeds and that. But, other than that, it's sometimes, again, try to get on the YouTube videos and the thing buffers. So it's like, you know what? I just don't have time. And I just got a little bit burned out. And when I was getting, I'll be honest, I was getting a little bit ticked off. What's going on with YouTube? I can't load this, I can't do this, I can't that. Okay, I find another source where it's going to be easier for me, and they're not going to be constantly changing. Then I'm just going to go that route. That's all. But my Instagram page, you can find me. It's Dave Byron Guitarist. And the reason why I did that is because I got some. I don't have a whole lot of rock or metal. Some of the rocker stuff, but more of the jazzy stuff, because that style of music have gotten us the most gigs. And I love that. I love playing rock and metal, don't get me wrong. But I do these things for a reason. I do like my jazzy stuff and all that. But one of the main reasons is when people click on my channel and let's say they want to hire me to do, let's say, classical Spanish guitar, and if I'm playing heavy metal music, then they get the wrong impression of me, and then, okay, well, you said you play this, but I'm looking at this video, and that's not what I want, you know. And Deb and I, we were quite successful doing what we do and sticking to our guns, and, as, an instrumentalist in the classical, flamenco, and the jazz world. And we got a lot of work, and I didn't have to worry about all these covers, So for me, uh, I like to I like to stay in my lane. I've already experienced. I've been playing for 50 years. I had someone tell me, "Well, expand your horizons." I already done that. I've been in cover bands. I love playing metal. I've been in all that. I'd rather be in a metal band than a cover band. I'll tell you that. And I'm not knocking, like I said, I'm not knocking the covers. It's just not for me. I just don't like it. It's, to me, I'm a creative person, and to me, I get the feeling that it just suffocates the creativity, especially if we're doing a cover song and I cannot expand on it. You know, I'll work on the main melodies because I think those are very important, as close as possible. And some of the soloing, I'll work on it as close as possible. But what happens with me when I start working on these songs, my mind starts to wander. I start discovering new things with that cover song, and it sparks an inspiration. Then I'll just go the creative way, and I've always been that way, and that's why I do what I do. And you know, when I hear people try to say, well, no, you got to play with the people on here, what part of that's true? Yeah, you get a lot of work if you want to do all that work, but you're going to burn out, man. If you don't want to burn out, if you want to do all that work out there and you love playing it, go for it. But if you're a creative person, I'm going to just give you the heads up. You keep this in mind. You can get suffocated. And especially if they want you to do everything exact off the album. And then you could be sitting in your rehearsal room working on the songs, and this is what happened to me. I started getting burned out. I was like, man, I don't even want to listen to this music, and I gotta play it. And I just like, it's not for me, not for me. But and again, for people who are like myself, if you're creative, don't let people tell you can't go out and playing your original music. You know, because we've done it, and we continue to do it. So. There's something for everybody. I think the thing is just do what you love, be good at your craft, and you're gonna find an audience because you're never gonna please everybody all the time. You're never gonna please everyone. The worst thing that happens, at least happens with me, is that I'm in that rehearsal room working on the songs. And I'm like, again, like I said earlier, I don't like the music. I don't want. I would rather draw something than play something I don't like listening to. It's just that's how I'm wired, you know. And I still find work. So, and I'm not trying to discourage anybody. Don't get that wrong. Again, everyone has their forte. The best thing to do is follow what your likiness is. And the same thing with gear. You know, buy the stuff that you can afford, that's within your budget, and that you actually like. The worst thing to do is try to follow other people. You could try it, and if it doesn't work out for you, it's because it's not for you. That's why there's different products out there. So let's see. But yeah, old man Dan, it's been a while. Let's see. Uh, yeah, before you leave uh, for the night, can you get us a little Ozzy tribute thing? Oh yeah, yeah. Let's do that. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna do a little bit of montage, okay? 'Cause I know poor Ozzy, man. I mean, it was so sad when we lost him. It's been a while since I played a lot of those songs, man. But I had a lot of fun doing them. Okay, my friends. So, anyways, like I said, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Dave Byron Guitarist, and we'll be posting up some more videos. This is much more easier. I still have to learn how to go live on Instagram. I haven't figured that one out, but we're getting there. But what I think we'll do at our next live show, we'll definitely be streaming on YouTube, and we'll just put out a message. So you won't find any pictures again. I mean, like I said, I don't know what they did. I got plenty of photos on my new phone. I just can't upload a photo for a post when I do a post on YouTube. Like I said, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I'll be checking out. Yeah, old man Dan, I'm glad that you're still around, man. Still playing because you know how YouTube gets, man, and the guitar community. I don't want to talk any negative or anything, but I just stay away from the drama. I want to enjoy life. You know what I mean? But I'll definitely check out your videos and that. Anyways, my friends, I hope this has been a little bit helpful. And just buy what you could afford and buy what you really like. You know, because the true test is when you're out there playing. If you could use it for that, can it hold up to it? And if doesn't matter how much it costs, you get a good sound out of it. Does it work for you? Does it hold up? Boom, it's a keeper. So, anyways, my friends, I hope this has been helpful. Until next time, I'll keep you posted on what's going on for the future. Until next time, stay strong, safe, and true, my friends. Rock on, and God bless. Thank you so kindly. Really appreciate it. Take care.